protect you if the country coming after you is the United States. That's the issue. Our governments are supposed to protect us. Anytime an Australian gets in trouble, but if the country that wants to get you is the United States, your government will not protect you. This is not a sovereign country. This is an outrageous decision, and all Australians should be furious.
Welcome to the 290th Julian Assange Sydney Town Hall gathering. A quality that people who stand up for the truth share is self-reliance. People like Julian Assange, David McBride, Richard Boyle, Mary Kostakidis, and Dr. Miley Trin are all extremely self-reliant individuals. Self-reliance is also a necessary quality for the grassroots activists around this country and the world who regularly stand up for the truth. In a corrupt society, there is pressure for people to conform with the narratives of control. People are praised, applauded, and given awards for conforming with the fiction of mainstream propaganda narratives. For example, our former Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has just this week been recognised as a companion of the Order of Australia for his role in going along with the fiction of the COVID crisis. At the other extreme, David McBride is being held in a high-security prison for revealing truth that very much did not go along with the fiction of the nation's involvement in the Afghanistan war. It is vitally important for those who manage corrupt society to have people conforming with the fiction that it is other than corrupt. Corruption would be very unlikely if everyone was self-reliant, capable of thinking independently, and willing and able to speak freely. If we are going to overcome the corruption of our society, an important goal must be to overcome the pressure to conform. Whistleblowers and journalists who don't conform with the fiction contained in the mainstream propaganda are heroes, and we need to treat them that way. But treating bearers of truth as heroes requires developing self-reliance. Psychologist Mandy Kloppers provides 5 tips to promote self-reliance. Point number 1, it is important to be your own best friend. This means accepting the truth about yourself while making the most out of what you truly have. Point 2, develop your ability to be quietly confident. This means you don't need to prove your worthiness by gaining the acceptance of others. Point 3, make decisions for yourself rather than relying on others to tell you what is best for you to do. Point 4, when you feel needy, take responsibility for your life. Try to depend on what you can do to help yourself rather than depend on assistance from others. And point 5, learn to accept yourself. If you are looking for approval, realise you have the power to give approval to yourself. Our psychological well-being is under constant attack through media propaganda that is intent on telling us what to think and what to believe. We need to develop greater self-reliance so that we can gain a true understanding of how this world really works. Courage is contagious. The Assange movement continues. Free, free, free the truth. Free, free, free the truth. Free, free, free the truth. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miley Trin. I came to Australia as a refugee after surviving the horrors of the Khmer Rouge regime, which took my mother's life. I grew up in Vietnam, escaped by boat, and arrived in this country believing it stood for freedom, truth, and compassion. I fought to become a doctor, not for money or power, but to help people. That calling became even clearer during the COVID-19 pandemic, when fear overwhelmed our hospitals and confusion gripped the public. I made one simple choice: to honor my oath as a doctor. I prescribed ivermectin early in the pandemic when it was still lawful because my patients were sick, they were scared, they wanted to live. I did not act recklessly. I followed the science available at the time. My patients gave informed consent, and above all, I followed my duty to do no harm. In that moment, refusing to act would have meant following harm. That was something I would not do. Let me be clear, I am not facing these proceedings because I broke any law. I am here because I stood by my patients and made clinical decisions based on what I believed was right and ethical at the time. Some of the complaints raised against me include one from an intern who said that she was told to make a report, and another from the name John Smith, a person who has never been identified. Several others involved family members whose medical records were accessed without their consent. None of these people made complaint against me. Despite this, I continue to be investigated and prosecuted, yet no one has shown any patient was harmed by my care. On the contrary, there is evidence that my treatment helped. In one case, their own expert witness acknowledged that I saved a woman's life. And Professor Robert Clancy, one of Australia's most respected immunologists, publicly supported me and said I did nothing wrong. So I ask you, what kind of a doctor turns away from a patient in need, especially during a pandemic? What kind of system punishes doctors who uphold the principles they were trained to follow? The regulatory process I've been subjected to has taken years of my life, my career, my reputation. But it has also raised a bigger question. What happens when the public begins to lose trust in the very institutions meant to protect them? Trust is the foundation of medicine. When decisions are driven by politics instead of patient care, that trust begins to break down. Not just for doctors like me, but for the entire system. I'm not standing here just for myself. I'm standing here for every doctor who wants to practice ethically, for every patient who deserves medical freedom, and for every Australian who still believes in trust and justice. My name is Dr. Miley Trin. I stand here unbought, unbroken, unafraid, because the truth is not for sale. Thank you.
Hooray! I've just come from the Sydney Film Festival. There's two films worth watching. One is a surveillance Japanese/American film that sold out and didn't win any awards, and the other one, which is what I saw, because I couldn't see the Japanese one, where you have a group of students who are pissed at the school and they play a prank on the school, and the school goes total surveillance lockdown on everybody. Everyone's got to be monitored. No more pranks, no more problems. But the one that I saw, which was Orwell, 2 + 2 = 5, which is the scene from Winston in the movie where he's going, Winston, how many fingers am I holding? 4. No, Winston, how many fingers am I holding? And then he's convinced, Al, it's 5. He gets zapped to conform to doing 5. But that's the real news out of what Orwell said. So it's a movie based on Orwell's diary. And it goes, and it's shot like Hungry Beast, which was an ABC documentary, where they cut. So you have the Orwell voiceover diary entry, and then you have the look at the global events. So whether that be Putin putting down one of his lackeys, saying, "Are we holding an independent election?" And the lackey doesn't know what to say. He's talking about some sort of motion, and he goes, "No, we're not here for that today. What are we? Are we holding an independent election?" And then aren't we? I would say we are. And he goes, "Yes, Mr. Putin." And then it shoots back to world weapons of mass destruction, George W. Bush. So he's going through the total. So we're living in a totalitarian state without knowing it. And Orwell, in his final diary entry, which is what the movie is based on, he says, everything that has been written tells us what we need to know today. So all the answers are already written, you just got to find them. That's his final diary entry. And the movie cuts that into 4 chapters. War is peace. Ignorance is strength. War is peace. Freedom is slavery, which is what Tony, presumably edited through you, says we're more or less slaves. We're walking around, we think we live in freedom. Freedom is slavery. We're told it's free, but in actual fact, no. We're bloody slaves. We're tools. That's what Tony was saying in several of his speeches, that we're not really, we're institutionalized slaves, or we're part of a... The media propaganda.
Yeah, the media propaganda went, and they had all of the media giants. Jeff Bezos owns this much, and this is what he owns. Rupert Murdoch owns this much, and this is what he owns. And what they're trying to do in the movie says they're trying to dumb us all down, where Murdoch wants us at a specific understanding and reading and writing at a specific level, i.e. year 9. He wants everybody at a year 9 level
So you understand his publications, you're reading and understanding at a year 9 level. Which is taking from when you look at, if you get a DVD of the Family Guy and you have the creators of the Family Guy, at the end of it they have a commentary on what they've done, what they've shot, and in the commentary they said, this joke here that we've just seen is for somebody with an understanding of a year 6. Oh, this is a more of a teenager's joke, so all the teenagers out there should be laughing at this joke. That taken in on with all the media that were AFR, SMH, ABC, they want us at a certain level to control us at that level. What was interesting, the fact was, Orwell was commenting on his own place, his own class in society, 1947, 46, 47, 48, when he wrote his diary, and he was saying, my class needed the Indian. The British Empire needed the lesser forms of societies, i.e. India. So 190 million Indians needed to be below the poverty level to prop up the British Empire. Without that, there wouldn't be I wouldn't be in the class that I am. Or the Orwell voiceover was saying, i.e. reading from his diary, I wouldn't have been in the class that I was in if us middle upper class British citizens weren't able to go to India and enjoy, because in Britain we didn't have property. The property was only to those who were designated knights and what have you of the royal order. We didn't have any property. The only way we were able to get it, go to India, and then would have land there and practice shooting and killing and then wondering about life, because in Britain we weren't able to do that. Without India, that our class wouldn't have been able to prop up, all the other classes wouldn't have propped up, there would be no British Empire. 190 million, thank you. So then taking that, how many other societies in the world are now propping up America, are propping up China? That's the thing. And he was saying, he said, if you can counter the authority, so what he was saying on the slavery, and then putting up in lights Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, the owner of Dell, Michael Dell, or whoever his name is, and he was saying what they're now doing, what the film was suggesting back in Orwell commenting on his own society, the rich in his own society, and this in the film was then characterised, copied and pasted, our billionaires of our era. They're now in a state of not knowing what they're doing. What they're about now is being stupid. They're in such a state that they can't influence our health or the way societies work. They have to go out and say, here I am, and act stupid. Totally stupefying their existence. Everybody laughed at that in the cinema, but
I'm not really getting it, I think.
You have Musk doing all these weird things on film.
Yeah.
You had it copying and pasting, and Bezos investing in these really ludicrous, stupid things.
It's pantomime.
Pantomiming themselves, and then saying, going out in public and Musk buying X, so it becomes his own platform, and all the people on X are now reading his 100+ million are now reading his whatever he says, and then that's just stupefying. Feeding into the way they want us all at one level, whether that be 9 or whatever. Them stupefying themselves brings us all down, because then we're paying attention. Those are on the social medias and what have you. But the moral of the story is what the elites. Really, what Orwell was saying in 48 is what Tony says here, and what we're portraying, what we're putting here, free speech and all that rest of it. When we're not living in 48, 47, after post-World War II, they weren't living in a free society, even though they were. The media, the newspapers at the time, and the politicians that you saw were saying we live in a free society, and democracy, the strength of democracy relies on this. And you also hear that Trump saying that. And all these other world leaders saying the thing, the strength in society, we've got to watch out because this is happening and it's going to decrease the strength of society. That was the same catchphrases that we're using back in the when Orwell wrote his diaries in the 46, 47, 48. And what they're going to do is that once enough people catch on, then the police and what have you, their military comes in and tries to shut us down. So they've already tried that with stealing the posters here. That will go more than one step of just taking. Next, expect them to arrest. And then the test of them taking the posters was the police saying, rightio, if you're saying we've done something wrong and with a judge taking your posters, what you have here, your property, off what is technically public property, our property, then take us to court and challenge us. Because there wasn't a challenge, and what Orwell says, you got to challenge them. Do whatever you can to challenge. If you don't, they're going to just keep taking the real freedom. Not the freedom that they were saying, democracy, freedom, the real freedom that you experience day to day, your own experience of freedom, that's going to be taken away.
Yeah.
So we need to get some sort of a law firm or something to get on, because now we've got if you flip around, we've got the riot squad here, I don't know why.
Oh. These are the public order people. Please.
You know, grab you.
And they're in a black, you know, it's all designed to look intimidating.
Yeah. The moral, the conclusion of what I'm saying, if you want to know what this is all about, what Tony is for 200, approaching nearly 300 weeks talked about here, check out, once it gets out, once you can get it for free, Orwell 2 + 2 = 5, because it hits the points that majority of the, if not all the speeches that Tony's talked about, the posters that are here, what they talk about, Orwell.
I write those speeches.
Boom, yeah. Orwell did that in his diaries, reflecting on his own life, reflecting on the society in the times of post-World War II Britain, his time in India with servants and what have you, to sort of say his reliance, his family's reliance on there, but the British Empire's general reliance on countries like India, Pakistan and what have you to prop themselves up. And then you juxtapose that, as the film does, the authority, who's propping up, what countries are propping up Russia, what countries are propping up America, China, etc. It's just a rehash of what was, and presumably there was an Orwell before Orwell. There was somebody, presumably Marx was doing the same thing, commenting on, look at this society here, we're not really living in a freedom, we're living in a tyranny, where we're told we're living in freedom, but it's actually an authoritarianism that we're not acknowledging because we're in our own routines. Wake up, do something about it. I was gonna say to them, rather than at the end of the film yelling out, "Free Gaza! Look what's happening, we've got to do something about Gaza." A couple of them I told, come out here every Friday. There's a free speech zone, there's a microphone, say what you've got to say and make, you know, you've got a bit of an audience here with people walking up and down from after work or students and what have you. There you go. Not in a theatre saying "Free Gaza." Come on.
Because only the people that are interested in that will be in the theatre, where you're not on the street.
I just concluded, sir, if you want to know what this is all about, I've just come from the Sydney Film Festival. If you check out, once it gets out on DVD or what free streaming download, or probably it's got YouTube or what, Orwell 2 + 2 = 5. One of the blokes who the government, the current government, the previous government is screwing over, holding him until the Americans put enough pressure on us to say he's got to go. He's the American-born Australian who's living out Julian's life in Australia that Julian lived in Britain, where he's just being detained until he's got to go.
Well,
he trained.
We don't know that he did anything to be, but the US is saying espionage. He trained some Chinese pilot.
Perfectly illegitimately training Chinese
in South Africa
to fly planes, and they're saying espionage. Yeah. So he's in Goldman maximum security, awaiting, and Albanese is gone. It's in his hands. He can do something about it.
No, you know, it's like the army, United Arab Emirates, mostly done in Australia. There's mercenaries, there's a lot of Australians.
Oh, we're in Ukraine as well. He got captured. I wonder what the deal there is going to go. Yeah.
He was a volunteer. It's like the mercenary groups. There's a lot of Australians in it.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're working all kinds of stuff. They do what they want to do. Yeah.
I would say it's the systems that we have. It's their fault. Either army reservists or the people that are in army aren't getting paid enough. Just why is there an enhanced games now? There's another Olympics where you want to have doped up, because the athletes that are winning the gold and the silver and the bronze aren't being paid enough. Yeah. Might as well get 500,000 or $1 million if I break a world record on doped up on steroids or what have you. But
so on the back here, Richard Boyle,
yeah, 2 + 2 = 5. Orwell never sided with fascism or communism. He said, I don't any sort of institutionalized control. He was, having experienced it, having gone to Bolshevik Spain, where they were going communism, and if you're not a communist, they were breaking people in, and also in the fascist, he never supported any of those. He just wanted to live properly free, without any controls. And he wasn't able to. He found it in a way in India, but he was controlling more or less his slaves, which were his servants, his Indian servants. And at least he was able to examine his own life and then truthfully say, look, I've been part of this system, coercive in controlling the Indians that were under my servitude.
Well, I think most of us, we go to school, we don't really know what life's about. We finish school, we get a job.
Yep.
And so he became a soldier in the British Army.
Yep.
And so that's where he then got transferred to India somehow. I don't know how that happens. But I don't think he liked it.
I think it was before that he became a soldier, because his family wanted to be. Burma is where he was. Yes. And Burma appeared as well. The stuff that was happening in 2022, 2023, all that restriction. So whether you say classify a country in the third world or a first world country in America, totalitarianism, whatever ism you want to, fascism, communism, it's the same thing. Totalitarianism is totalitarianism, whatever system you want to put in front of that word. Communism, communist totalitarianism, fascist totalitarianism. We have to be, as he says at the end of his diaries, everything has been written that you should know about. All the solutions have been written.
Yeah.
All the history, so you just got to find it. Can you be bothered? Do you have enough time? That's it.
Yeah.
What the general public doesn't look at the history behind
well,
it's
kind of obvious that there's a lot of people, we could do something about it, but we don't.
So there, the lady at the end of the film was yelling, "Free Gaza, we've got to do something about Gaza." And I said to a couple of the people near me, for the past nearly 300 weeks, there's something at the town hall. There's a movement at the town hall, which was Julian Assange, and now is in whistleblowers generally. There's a free speech zone. Come and talk. Come and say come and hand out a petition.
Well, they aren't doing it.
No.
They might do it in the future. Let's not.
Now they could also argue, well, that's going to do nothing. You've been doing nearly 300 weeks, and what good have you done? What have you done?
Well, we think that maybe Julian Assange was released from prison because it was the only possible thing that the American government could do.
That's why the police are on my back, because I put it on camera for Julian Assange
to stop grassroots movement.
Yeah. We and others like us, because there were other in Victoria and Melbourne, there were also these types of things. So a collective pressure of these types of arrangements, these types of groupings of awareness raising,
public awareness.
Yeah.
And
being on the ABC,
they've gone.
you know what I mean? So,
You've been on the ABC saying free Assange, and
the
you had
cops were on my back after. And they said, we don't want you to come.
Yeah.
They don't want me to come here, but.
No.
But what can they? It's kind of, if it's free, then why can't I come here? You know?
And that's why do you come here? Because of that. Because you've gone free. Where else have you seen free?
Public sentiment towards Julian Assange during that time improved greatly.
So that, even in that crowd, the people who saw that movie might think it's despondent. We can't really do anything. There's all these other actions that have been around. Well,
but it's also like it's an intellectual. There's this intellectual, like reading, like these classic books like George Orwell.
Yeah.
It's an intellectual exercise. It's nothing to do with our lives right now.
No. And that's why you needed a movie to go from 1984, the novel, and they also had Animal Farm in the novel, and how they then edited that and said, look, this pig that was at the front telling all the other animals, now we're free. Transpose that to Donald Trump also telling his supporters. And also you had Ma, what's his name? Ma in America, a famous kind of late night. He's got his own talk show. Bill Maher. He had one of his reporters go to one of the Trump supporters and say, Trump's being accused of this, and this is what Trump has been on the record in the courts as being guilty of. And the supporter goes, well, I'm willing to let that go. I'm willing to let that proven corruption with Trump, proven facts that he's been nepotism, corruption, and what have you. I'm willing to let that slide as long as he makes America great again. And that is one of the biggest, just letting corruption and what have you slide, because this guy, whether he be from Animal Farm or in Washington DC on a platform saying, now we're free, now ignorance is strength. You don't have to vote. They had that clip as well. Don't worry, people. You vote for me now. You don't have to vote ever again. Trump.
We need
strength in ignorance. Freedom, slavery, and war is peace. These three things that the movie took away from George Orwell's diaries. That's what you got to be, and that the real life complacency. And I'm assuming people will also say something like this about Albanese, where Trump supporters say that about Trump, willing to let go of any criminality that he has been proven of doing. They could also say about Albanese, they're willing to let any of the things that Albanese promised that he would take to the Parliament with regards to protecting whistleblowers. They're willing to let that go. Oh, because he's making other policies other Albanese policies are making our economy great again. Back to when we remember John Howard and Albanese's doing that. So we're willing to let whistleblowers being able to find out the FOI, truth, getting FOI requests on time and no delays or anything like that. These are, and then ICAC, a federal ICAC that looks over all of the other ICACs, getting that into...
And what's his name? Albanese is not true.
So don't worry about that,
really for the
because we're happy at Albo's now fixing the economy. He's fixing inflation's gone down, so...
If you look at the building industry, Albanese is trying to get rid of some of his union leaders. You know that, don't you?
So forget about workers' rights. We'll get rid of some unions. The
in the building industry,
CFMEU. That's got to go.
Yeah.
But that's all right because Albanese's fixing. He's fixed inflation, or inflation is going down, so we can forgive him for that. Just like they can forgive Trump for January 9 or any of the corruption.
Isn't it great? After we've had so much inflation, then it's fixed. It hasn't gone back down to where it was.
At the end of the film, they
our
had...
prices haven't gone down before to where it was before the inflation.
So-
All it's done is kept at the high rate.
So at the end of the movie, they had in the credits they have catchphrases that we should be aware of. Legal use of force equals police brutality. Pacification equals elimination of unreliable elements. Vocational training center equals concentration camp.
Yeah.
Special military operation equals invasion of Ukraine. Newspeak equals language used to alter reality and manipulation. Pacification. What do we got? Cuts equals reductions in social programs. Stimulus package equals handouts to the wealthy. Bailouts equals government welfare for failing corporations. Tax optimization equals legal tax evasion. Campaign finance equals legalized corruption. Austerity equals enforced economic deprivation. Admirable profits equals unreasonably low wages. Economic growth equals increased production despite social costs. Recession equals economic decline as unavoidable phenomena. A great movie. Orwell, 2 + 2 = 5. Check it out.
So one of the things in 1984 was they had never-ending war, but the enemies kept changing. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So we have the Ukraine war, and that's Biden. And then we have the thing of we hate China now because it's Trump. It's I know they had the same big brother in 1984.
Yes,
but
this big brother rather than this big brother or comrade big brother.
Yeah.
It was this is the symbol in 1984.
Yeah.
But ultimately, all those characters went and said, "Hail Big Brother," and then they cut in the movie, "Hail Trump," "Hail Xi Jinping," "Hail Putin." It just caused people read everything he was talking about, the importance of prose and how everything is written, and in everything that has been written, you can then change. You can all the circumstances that we see, you should know about. You just got to read it. But then what about those who can't get to it or read properly or what have you? You know, they're the ones that you got to look. You know, in an ideal world, yes, you just pick up a book and the solution is there. But no, because and they had a big emphasis on book burning. But really, in today, it's not about what we've seen in America, the whole book burning, and they had statistics, 3,480 odd books that have been banned in America, and the types of books that have been banned, and the authors, like Marx has been banned.
Crazy.
Salman Rushdie's been banned.
Yeah.
You think in the Muslim world, yes, but in America, Salman Rushdie's been banned.
Wow.
And I'm assuming when they say ban, possibly in not all of America, but a certain amount of states. And why would you want to ban Salman Rushdie? Or, okay, Marx, the equation
why
with
would
communism.
you want to stop any free speech?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
But in our society, there isn't this whole where you have, here's a pit, here are the books, burn them. It's just taken away. They're just taken away from the shelf. And replaced.
With books that are meaningless.
That's right. Or understandable, as we were saying before, where they want us at a certain level of understanding and being able to read and what have you. And that understanding from what they've created, whether that be a year 9 level or a year 8 level or a primary school level, that's the books they're going to push.
They don't like intelligence.
That's right.
Unless it's them. Nobody can be better and more smarter than them because they're doing bad things to people, discrediting people and setting them up, and what they're doing is absolutely horrendous. It really is. You know, to just normal innocent civilians, because they've stumbled across something or somebody's given them some kind of false hope or misled them in some way, and then they're starting to, you know, progress in, you know, old teachings and religion, and then once you get through that wormhole, so to speak, and they can't stop learning, and then they seek out knowledge wherever they go, and they speak about it, and they're trying to shut people up. Because I mean, not every world lasts forever. No. And they're up to something, I'm telling you.
And that's the key thing, them. It's not one point, it's not Trump. They're replaceable. They just get another person, they get another Trump in, another whatever in. It's this, and that's the thing, the whole thing where we can, you have scientists predicting the end of the world, yet you can't, no one is predicting the end of capitalism or this system.